pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, as we do every month, everyone received their minutes on email or drop it off, either way, whichever way you get it. Has everyone had a chance to review them? Any questions, any changes, any amendments that need to be made? Now's the time. And if there are none, we need to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Clarence. Have a second? Thank you. We'll go around the table. I'll David now.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
A little tongue-tied today for some reason. Okay, you also have a copy of the treasurer's report. Any questions for Melinda's not going to be here today, but any questions for AC on the treasurer's report? Set that aside.
And on the treasurer's report, I just also want to make a comment that the financial compliance report is done. I think Melinda was planning to go get them today, but she was under the weather, so we will get those and get those out to council probably first next week. So.
You also received a copy of the bills for payment. I'm sure everyone's had a chance to review any questions, any line items, or any of the items on the bills. You'll notice we're getting a lot of the park stuff done. If you notice, like the shelters and things like that, you'll see some of those items on here. But anybody have any questions with any of the bills? Then I'll need a motion to approve those.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
Did you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
See that? My wife's saying she can't see it live online, so. Maybe it's delayed or something. Okay. Any bills for payment? Police Board Chief, what do you have for us today?
Obviously, we talked last month about new hire, so he's been here for over a month and we're back to full schedule, so it makes it easier on us. You should see more full coverage on the street, and we were able to do a couple of special events last month for Halloween. Worked with the PTO over at Plains Elementary School and did a trunk or treat with them, and then of course most of y'all were out there to help with the trunk or treat that the town did at the park. That was a great event. Everybody that was involved in that just did a great job.
Lots of fun.
From organizing it, advertising it, and execution, and people running out and getting more candy in the middle of it, and everything else. So that was a great event, and it was good to see, a lot of the kids come through knowing officers by name and things like that. From seeing them, not so much in the schools a little bit, but out in community events and in the parks, and sometimes their homes, things like that. So it's good to see the kids recognize officers having a good response to them. So proof's in the pudding. When you see that, that's a good thing.
We had an estimate of roughly what we thought attended, right? I think the bank made 600 and some odd bags and gave them all out, needed more candy. So you figure you had roughly 700 children plus parents. So you're looking at as many as 1,500 people there at night. So that's a heck of a turnout for a first time event. It's a really good turnout.
And there were comments about how well organized it was. It flowed well, and everybody felt like there was something for them to do the whole time. They weren't stuck in lines and things like that. So it was very well done.
Anything else, Chief?
Yes, sir, that's it.
Okay. It's still too early for the other part. AC, you want to move down to Public Works? You have something to talk about there? We'll go back.
Let's see. Kind of follow up on last month's meeting. Sent out the memo that we had started the investigation into the since we have the new occupancy ordinance available to us. We started the investigation into that, collecting some data, and working with some different community agencies. We're trying to make sure that we don't create more problems by addressing other problems. So we are working on that. The zoning permit for the new Walgreens store has been issued, and the county was on top of that with their building permits. So I have a feeling we will see something pretty soon on getting some land disturbed down here, demolition of the old building, and starting the construction of the new building. Carl had texted me, I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? And asked about the sign, the for sale sign up here at this Walgreens store. Apparently, there's nothing under contract yet. There was some dispute about whether or not the lease would allow for them to put a sign out, and so somebody contested it. Blah, blah, blah. It wasn't anything through us. It was kind of more of a civil type matter, I guess. But I think that sign will probably go back up pretty soon, I believe. And the final thing I have is the asbestos abatement on the Chris building is complete, and the contractor's waiting on return paperwork saying that they're good to go on that part of it. And then they will go move their equipment in and start the demolition of that building, get that taken care of.
Will you be sure to send me an email or let me know, because the museum wants some.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll let everybody know once the demolition starts. So. And that is all I have on my short list. Between
I did have a question
Okay.
about the occupancy limit. I know you said you're reaching out to try and get assistance so there's not homelessness that happens with this. But do you have a time frame on when the neighbors there can see relief from what they're experiencing? I mean, it's my whole thing about, the mice and the roaches and all of that with little children in the home.
right.
So when do you think they can start to see something take place with
I would
this?
expect with, I know I have enough documentation on at least one of the residences that it can be addressed. It's not something where we could just go based on a complaint
Right.
and go in and say, go into somebody's property. I don't know, maybe you could, but that's not how we're going to operate. So, but collecting data on the number of individuals going in and out of different residences, I definitely have enough on at least one that we can get in there as soon as I hear something back from some of these different agencies, which should be very rapidly. I would say within the next week and a half, we will be able to make contact with those properties.
But even with that said, say the person, you go in, you see something, it may still have to go to court, correct? Or is it just something where you're told to remedy the situation? Or
Court is
not?
part of it, right? You can go see it.
Yeah.
Seek an injunction, is that what it was?
Right, I think so.
I think that's what.
I think so.
I think it's the process we're through.
I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but I feel like you can,
It's a civil matter.
it's a civil matter, in order to enforce it, you gotta get a court order.
Okay.
Because there has to be a due process for the homeowner.
So the first part is go there and ask, and if they remedy it, they're okay, but you may have to go to court if they choose not to.
You give them notice that they're in violation of the ordinance, and then they have a time period to cure. If they fail to cure, then you go to court.
But I would say within a week and a half, we will make contact with.
With the
The
violation
tenant.
notice for homeowner.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
You were able to take us right over that 7:10 mark, so we can have our public hearing. AC, you want to go over I read the franchise agreement. It's new to me. You want to go over what just roughly about it? And then we'll have a public hearing on it.
Yeah, basically when you have a utility, an outside utility company that wants to put up infrastructure in a municipality, they enter into a franchise agreement with that locality. It says that the locality gives them the authority to, gives them permission to be able to put that infrastructure in the public right of way. That's the easiest explanation of it. And so the town has had a franchise agreement with, it's started off with Adelphia, for those of you that remember when Adelphia was in business, and then switched to Comcast when they got bought out. I think that goes back, Quentin and I were talking about this right before the meeting, I think that goes back probably into the 80s, when that was first established, because cable television really kind of came on strong. It's been renewed once since then, at least once, maybe more. But anyway, so that's what this would do. It would allow Glow Fiber, which is a subsidiary of Shentel, to erect their infrastructure in the public right of way in Timberville and provide data services. It doesn't have anything to do with cable TV, it's data only services, so internet. Quentin, I had sent out one version of it. Quentin has another version that added a few things to it.
The main thing I added was that Shintel has an obligation to indemnify the town for any damages that they cause if they disturb anything. You know, they, like most right-of-way easements, if they disturb something, they got to put it back the way that it was. But if there's any other type of damages, or if they overstep, they got to indemnify the town and make the town whole. And they can't construct any new poles. They can only use the existing poles. And if we wanted to relocate any of their cables due to like water or sewer mains or something like that, they would agree to the relocation of that and the cost associated with moving their own. We wouldn't have to be responsible for moving that cost.
Did you say it was for internet and TV?
No,
Yeah.
just internet only, data only, no television.
Okay.
So I'll open it up to the public. If the public has any questions or concerns, now's the time.
One thing I do want to say, which is interesting because it references like code sections, there's language in the code about bidding on a franchise, but this is a non-exclusive easement, so there's no reason to bid or get bids on a non-exclusive easement. If someone else came in and said, we want to do, internet too, we would grant that franchise. So if you try and read through it and stack it up and say, why didn't we do this? That's why we didn't do it. There's no reason to have bids when it's non-exclusive.
Anybody have any comment? Okay.
I wonder why they wouldn't be.
We'll close public comment.
Well, it's fiber is what it is, so
Oh, it's fiber
yeah, fiber optics, so that's kind of where the market is. A lot of, my family does it, we stream, we have cable internet, and then we just stream all of our television. We don't actually have a television service, like through Comcast. And that's kind of, I think it's kind of the trend, is data is where it's at. So I think that's probably the main reason.
So I have a ordinance to approve, and I had a franchise agreement.
Basically, the ordinance is, so we'll do a vote, and then the ordinance is giving the town manager authority to sign the franchise agreement.
So we just have to
Just have to
a
pass the
motion
ordinance.
on the ordinance. Okay, if there's no other discussion, anyone have a motion to approve the ordinance for the franchise agreement with Shentel Cable Television?
Make a motion to approve the ordinance?
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, Natalie?
Yes.
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 Thank you all. And then we have to send this around and get it signed.
Please.
We'll start down here all the way around. Okay. Okay, see, we'll move down to business and industry. You've kind of already hit on some of the business so far. I think, is there anything else you have?
Trying to think. Nothing else I can think of off the top of my head,
Okay.
especially in the reports.
Parks and Rec, everybody has seen, I can't wait till Chris gets back off vacation so he can take all the credit he should be taking for everything going on. But everyone's seeing the roofing going up in the park down there. They're getting ready when Chris gets back on vacation to put the swing shelter up, and they also want to redo the shelter on the top of across from the sports complex too. So all our shelters have all new roofs. To make it easy on Melinda, we kind of got rid of all the spreadsheets she's running. She's got one final spreadsheet here, and we're sitting here with a little bit of money left over when it's all over and done. Basically, with everything we've done all the improvements, that we've spent about $135,000, which is absolutely amazing. And you couldn't do that without the donations and so forth that people have given. But if there's some other item that you're looking, that you really like to see get done, please say something to AC, myself, or Chris, and we'll see if we can get it done. The goal is to, we allocated that $140,000 probably 2 years ago, maybe 2.5. And basically get all these projects done so when we come in our next budget cycle, we can start some new, more exciting project. So if you have any questions or something you'd like to see, please let AC or Chris know. That's Parks and Rec. Finance, AC, you already updated on finance.
Yep.
The audit went well, and Melinda did a great job on that. Personnel, the employees doing great. Anything else on personnel?
Everyone's doing a
Everyone's
fabulous job. I mean,
doing a great job.
kind of vacation time of the year, different things going on, different people out, and the rest of the crews pick up the slack. Saw the Christmas decorations going on and everything, so, everybody's hard at work.
Good job. Plains Disciplinary Museum, there already.
Wow. Museum membership is 125. Our volunteer hours was 123, and number of visitors was 80 for the month of October.
Okay. Beverly, you got something for us tonight?
Yeah, a little bit. I can take this thing off, I hope.
Yes, sir.
Happy Veterans Day. Anybody on the council is a veteran, I know you are.
I am. Which is, you are, well, and whoever else is a veteran.
I just got the haircut.
Okay, let's get started. November 28th, 1929. Many people turned out to view the first state supervised road building project in Rockingham County at Timberville. Saturday, June 28th, 1924. A lawn party was held at the Timberville School Building tonight by the Agricultural Club. November 1st, 1918. Fire destroyed the mutual coal storage. And then in 1919 they rebuilt, and then I think through the 30s, 40s, well, they kept adding on. And I think the six-story part, I remember what it was, 1924 or 1944. But anyway, November 1944, the prisoner of war camp closed and all personnel were transferred to Camp Pickett. Now, they just kept the prisoners here through the warm weather, and then they sent them to Camp Pickett during the cold weather. And then in 1945, they brought them back again. Of course, after 1945, everything was over with. January 5th, 1903, there were 52 scholars attending school at Timberville. Primary at 21, intermediate 6, and the high school was 25. Monday, June 9th, 1924, the movie showing at the Columbia Theater in Timberville was The Village Blacksmith. October 1937, the old covered bridge is still being torn down, which is now owned by the state. They sent the lumber to the city of Harrisonburg to be used as needed. It'd be interesting to me to see what building is still standing in Harrisonburg that has some of our old covered bridge in it, because I bet it's some up there yet. But I don't know how you'd ever find out. November 8th, 1907, a Literary Society meeting was held. The debate was there should be an educational qualification for voting. The judges decided in favor of the negative side, so it shouldn't be. January 5th, 1912, the scheduled Literary Society meeting was canceled because they couldn't keep the room warm. It was 0 degrees at 8 o'clock. That's it.
Yeah, we can cancel our council meeting also. Okay, thank you, Beverly.
Yeah.
Council, have any other business at this time? Carl?
It reminded me the other day when they were putting up the Christmas wreaths. Any reason we don't have the town logo on the bucket truck?
No?
But no reason besides the fact we just had never put
Never
it
did
on
it?
there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's out and about quite a bit.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have it on there.
Yeah, good suggestion.
I think you use it once or twice, you stick it back in the,
Yeah.
in the thing, you don't think about it.
They just get a stick on.
There you go. Well, they put them on anyway, don't
Mm-hmm.
they? Any other business?
No business, but I have a comment. I got numerous people that called me or came up to me in grocery store, love the Halloween
Yeah.
that we had.
It was
Celebration.
just well done. I
It
can't,
was, I mean, everyone did a fantastic job.
yeah, very much so.
And we'll be having the Winter Festival on December 4th, so that's before our next council meeting. So make sure we get that put out
Put that on my
there. You should put that on the calendar.
I will. Okay. Okay, now it's public comment. Anybody have anyone like to speak? Now's the time.
Craig Turner, I live right across the street here. I was thinking about coming to the town council meeting tonight, and my thought was, you council members are in charge of the town and 2,000 or 3,000 different people to try and keep happy. And it's a huge job, thankless job. I just wanted to say, appreciate the job you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Turner. Wow. Any other public comment?
I want to thank JR and his force for what they're doing, particularly sitting down at the park area and pulling these trucks over. Halloween was interesting at our house because we met a lot of the families who live down the street. And some of them, the parents were asking me about the signs on the street, and I did my best just to briefly tell them what was going on. But they are really worried about their children. And they have young, really young children, and they're concerned about the drugs, so it's not just call up. But I also made a suggestion to the ladies on the phone the other day about the pickleball equipment. And I know that there were some discussions made. I was hoping you'd say something more about it tonight. People were asking, how do we learn to play pickleball if we don't have the equipment? And you've got to take your equipment to the park. I hope there's going to be something done about getting a set so that it can be checked out here at the office or something and used.
We're looking into
Yeah.
seeing what kind of options we can have for something like that.
I hope you follow through with that because I think it's a wonderful sport, and I think the more the townspeople who learn to play it, the more the courts will be used. Thank you.
Anything else? Then, again, if you have veterans in your family, make sure you thank them today, friends. It's an important day, so make it known that you appreciate their service. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Another one bites the dust.